Welcome, everybody, to the Lunacy Podcast. I'm Tony. I'm here with Dave and Dave. We are at Invictus Brewing up in Blaine, which is right by the National Sports Center, where, of course, the Loons used to play when they were in the lower division.
Yeah.
So we're up here. They have graciously allowed us to do our podcast on their patio, which is fantastic. It's a new building here. And we all got flights today. Instead of getting just one beer, we got 5 different ones. So, where do you guys drink? Where did you guys start off with?
So I'm doing the IPA right now. It's good. It's not quite. What would I say? It's not quite a West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a nice hop profile, not terribly in your face.
Yep.
It's got the malt characters right on par with what I think most West Coast IPAs are, but the malts are a lot better than. Or, I mean, the hops are a lot better than what some of those extreme IPAs are. I'm not a big extreme IPA guy.
I'm not either. I like IPAs are a little smoother. This one, I'm drinking this right now. It's a great IPA. I have no problems with it whatsoever. It's good. Dave, you tried the oatmeal?
The first one I had to try was it's called the Oat Busters Oatmeal Pale Ale, and that really jumped out at me. The word oatmeal always gets me. Now the thing is, usually I'm a fan of the oatmeal stouts.
Because you think it's healthy, right?
Well, it's kind of it's only 11:30. It's breakfast. It's lunch. It's a drink all in one.
Yeah,
I see where you're going with that.
Yeah,
but no,
yeah.
Actually, honestly, like you guys said, I am actually more of a lager fan. So the pale ales don't usually jump out at me. But I'll tell you what, that I like this one, and I think I'll if I do go with a full one, I might go that route because I've tried all 5 of them now, and I think I can get on board with any of them.
You know, technically, on the health note,
Yeah.
technically all craft beer is healthy.
Really?
Because there's no preservatives.
Okay.
There's no added sugars.
Yeah.
I mean, it's all grains.
But there's alcohol in it, though.
Well,
It's not healthy for your liver.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're drinking gallons of it at a time.
Yeah. Well,
And you'll find there's proteins, there's gluten,
Well, Dave,
there are diets that are based on.
If you
Now, hold
drank
on.
enough beer, it would classify as a meal. There would be
Okay.
enough protein,
All right.
carbohydrates,
Well,
sugars.
I'm going to trust you because you're a chemical engineer.
Yes,
so
okay.
I trust that you know what you're talking
Well,
about.
then
Yeah.
I think we can just leave it at that. Then
You want to start your own podcast about how healthy beer is?
well, I think we could probably get a spinoff going, but we'll worry about that later.
All right. So let's get into what went on the last couple of weeks here. We had the last game was Real Salt Lake. That was actually not the last game.
First game.
The first game after our last podcast was Real Salt Lake.
3-2.
We ended up winning 3-2. We came out like gangbusters in that game. I mean, I thought it was going to be 5-0. I mean, I really, and it should have been. But the second half, they just kind of decided to stop playing defense. You know,
they bunkered down without actually bunkering down.
Yeah.
Which I think is prototypical Minnesota United football. It's like we're going to be Jose Mourinho's team, but then fail to actually listen to anything he says.
Sure.
Yeah, you know, I think that is a major issue. I think I wanted to talk about this. So let's talk about this. After the game, we won 3-2 against a Western Conference opponent. So we gained points on a team that was above us. And we scored 3 goals, which is not typical of us.
No.
And the presser was Adrian Heath was just lit up.
He's ticked off after that game.
Yeah.
He was.
I'm glad you brought that up because that was
And it's a big thing to talk about because being someone like myself who interacts with a lot of fans on Twitter, people were just pissed at Adrian Heath on his comments on how he threw the players under the bus. You know, he had nothing good to say. We won, still nothing good to say. And to me, it was one of those things where it comes down to the motivation, right?
Yeah.
Some players respond well to that type of motivation. Some players don't. And a lot of people were saying, you know, all he does is ever make excuses. He always blames the players, and which is I think, somewhat accurate. And I was like, well, let's just wait and see how they respond. I mean, let's not just call for Heath's head because he's got a point. His point's valid.
Yes.
We were up 3-0, and we almost ended up losing that game.
Yeah, there was a strong chance that we could have, almost lost that game, but also could end up in a tie after having such a great start.
What a backbreaker that would have been.
That would have been
especially where we are in the standings. It would have been.
And considering what happened only a couple weeks earlier, in Colorado, where we were up.
Yep.
They ended up catching up and tying, and then they ended up winning in the 94th minute or whatever.
Yep.
I mean, Adrian Heath's argument was right on the spot.
Yeah, yeah.
Whether or not he should have done it the way he did it is debatable. So I was like, let's just find out how the players respond. I thought, they obviously had, again, a near meltdown against New England. Mm-hmm. But it was still, I think they responded.
Yeah.
I think they responded positively.
Yeah.
And I mentioned to a couple people that, oh my God, Adrian Heath knows how to motivate his players better than the fans do. Shocker.
Yeah.
It's like
he's supposed to.
We
can. Paid to do.
Yeah, we can sit here on Monday morning and play the manager.
Yeah.
And question everything he does and say, well, this should have been this way or this should have been that way.
Yeah.
But in the end, look, he quite possibly knew exactly what he was doing.
Yeah, and we've ragged on Adrian Heath a lot on this podcast for things that he's done. At the last podcast, we were talking about how was it the game in Houston where he kept all his starters in after they played like a previous game and it was hot and they just looked totally out of it.
Right.
And we ragged on him for that. We said, well, why don't you bring younger guys in for that game and kind of, get some more energy in it. But I think after he got on the players in that game where we almost lost, and then the next game against New England, I think you saw a little more motivation from some of the guys.
Right.
I mean, in the New England game, Ramirez scored, which
first time in a while, and you could tell he was happy to get that monkey off his back, and they looked a little more fit, a little more into that game in that New England game. So maybe him coming out after that previous game was kind of a wake-up call for all those guys. Yeah, and I want to talk about that in a little bit because there's something interesting about that. And so if you go back to the RSL game and you look at the goals, we all saw this game, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the Ibsen goal, the first goal of the game, fantastic pass to from Calvo to Quintero, place it right where it needed to be. Now, was that a foul by Quintero? Because
oh man,
I don't think it was.
I don't think it was.
I mean, and this is one of the parts, and I was going to talk about Petke's removal from the game because this is one of the issues he had. It's Justin Glad is 6'1". Mm-hmm. He's going up against Darwin Quintero, who's 5'2". Mm-hmm. So
is
literally
he 5'2"?
a foot. Yeah. Sorry, 5'5".
He's not 5'2".
Yeah, it's 5'5".
He's not a midget.
5'5".
Okay.
So he's literally got a full half a foot on the guy. Mm-hmm. Darwin is backing up. He's backing up.
Yep.
Darwin's got his arms stretched out.
Yep.
And somehow he manages to muscle down a central defender. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either.
And very obviously, the referee put his hand up to his ear. He was very clearly talking to VAR.
Yep.
And they didn't review.
No.
So, in my opinion, I think VAR saw exactly what I saw, and it was a defender who was up in the air. He's challenging, and he's off balance.
Yep.
And was there contact? Yes, obviously. And he fell over.
Yeah.
And the VAR said, there's not enough there.
Not there. Yeah. No.
So obviously that set Mike Petke off just a bit.
Oh yeah.
So then we go to Quintero's goal. I have to point this out because, again, Calvo was the setup guy.
Yeah, he was.
So he didn't get an assist on goal one. He was a key pass.
Yep.
But this time he actually got an assist. Fantastic pass again. He even muscled off Severino, I believe it was, to get a little bit more space and then actually get in there and get a good pass. Fantastic goal again.
Oh, yeah.
A chip again.
Another chip, yeah.
And, you have to wonder... Somebody asked Jeff Reuter on Twitter if a player can make a career out of chipping the goalkeeper.
Well, he's done it how many times now?
Yeah, and that was before the game.
Like yeah.
And Jeff's like, no, that's not possible. And then, of course, he goes up
does it.
the next game and he does it again. And Quintero is quite possibly the best DP in the league right now.
He could, he's up there.
And he knows how to chip a ball.
Well, I think he's also smart, too. He knows when he can chip a ball. He knows when a goalie is kind of playing off his line, and he's got a chance to do it.
And he has the space to do it.
And he's space to do it. He's got the touch.
Yeah, I think we were talking about, during the Houston game, they weren't giving him the space to do it. He didn't have the opportunity, but when a team will give it to him, he'll take it. And from range, too, long range, that was exciting. It's so exciting to watch.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we could spend a whole podcast talking about Darwin. We could literally start the Darwin Quintero podcast.
We could, yeah. We could just review all of his goals.
That might qualify as stalking to some extent, but in any case, the third goal was, of course, Darwin's goal again.
Yep.
So he manages the gentleman's hat trick where he has 2 assists and a goal.
Yep.
And I wanted to point this goal out because Christian Ramirez has been getting a lot of heat, even from yours truly.
Yes.
And that goal was set up by Christian Ramirez.
Yes.
There was an incredible flicked-on header from him way back at midfield that set the whole thing up. Mm-hmm. And had that not happened, that goal wasn't going to happen. Yeah. And, it's a sign of the work rate that he puts in that doesn't make the stat sheet.
Yep.
And it's a sign of the work rate that he has that people like myself criticize sometimes.
Yes.
And this
sometimes
is
a lot.
Yes. And this is going to come up in a few minutes here. And so I think the goal wasn't anything spectacular. I just think it was another assist for Quintero. It was a fantastic key pass. I don't know if he even got a key pass stat for that.
I don't think he did.
But it's just a good example of how Christian Ramirez puts in some work and effort that we don't necessarily see. Mm-hmm. And, he might get a little bit more criticism than he needs. So, moving on to the Petke thing.
Yes.
Tirade. Mm-hmm. The thing that really set him off was Schuler's foul.
Yes.
Schuler's yellow card.
Yes.
So, do we think it was a red?
No. I don't think it was a red.
Do you? What about you, Dave?
I'm not going to comment on that because I did not see that live.
So, Schuler came in, cleats up.
Yeah.
Okay.
He did scrape the shin.
Yes.
The ref was quick to pull out the yellow.
Yep.
So there was no ball there. He got the shin.
There was a ball there.
Okay.
He did not get the ball.
That's what I meant. Okay. He didn't get the ball.
He was
first.
late.
Okay, late. Okay. So it sounds like a clear foul. He said that.
It was very obviously a foul. It was very obviously a yellow card.
Yes.
Pat Key thought it was a red card. Every Salt Lake supporter on the planet thinks it's a red card.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. I saw a few people. I think Jeff Reuter said that he probably would have called it a red. I think 55-1. I saw an article that said it probably was a red.
Okay.
Andrew Weeb with MLS said he was on the fence.
Okay. So, and just to help out some of the people like me that are listening and maybe didn't see it live, where exactly did it occur? The foul.
It was. I'd say it was maybe 40 yards out.
Okay.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Yeah, that's probably a good guess.
Right. Yeah. Because that can make a difference too. When we're talking about
it wasn't
red.
a direct free kick chance.
Okay.
Yeah. No. But so for me, everything that I see is, it was studs up. It was studs up. It was studs up. Now, in my opinion,